Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dugout Podcast. I am your co-host Andrew, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host Marissa.
Hi.
And well, I don't remember which episode this is. I was going to give a number, but honestly,
It's episode 17,
episode 17. So welcome to episode 17 of
season 3.
season 3.
3 years we've been doing this. Wow.
Yeah,
Getting older, man.
I feel as though that's a loaded statement. I mean, we are getting older, right? But I feel because I kind of treat only bus last time.
I was not even thinking about that.
Or you're older.
If the shoe fits, man.
Anyhow, so on the agenda today, we have some FA Cup final reaction, followed by preview of the European finals. Then we have our usual Premier League leaderboard and predictions, but I think Marissa will be crowned as the new leaderboard champion.
Still a bit to go
this afternoon. I think we could probably chime in our final predictions for our top 5 at that stage as well. And then we have some cricket because the West Indies have announced a new leader of the Test side. New captain and vice captain. So we'll get all that on the way. But as I mentioned before, let's go back to the original segment, some FA Cup reaction. Another giant sling last weekend in the FA Cup after the Carabao Cup giant sling of a big side as well. So this time we have Crystal Palace overcoming Manchester City 1-0. It means that City, for the first time in almost 10 seasons, almost a decade,
I think it was
finished 16-17.
Since Pep first season, right?
Yeah. So the first time in 8 years, basically, City have finished the campaign without a major trophy.
Oh no, what a shame.
So anyhow, did you watch the game? Did you watch the FA Cup final?
I watched it in parts. I had it on while I was doing other things.
Right.
Let me say I got home at about 35 minutes and then I had it on while I was doing other things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there were some controversial moments which we get to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Palace deserve it ultimately. I think that okay, so let me start off by saying if you had said at the beginning of the season that Newcastle will win the Carabao Cup and Palace will win the FA Cup, I would laugh at you because that's nothing that I saw coming.
Right.
But honestly, going into the game, I know we didn't talk about it last time. We kind of brushed past it. But, I mean, I am not surprised that Palace did it. Palace have been playing well recently, I found, since maybe March or so. They've really had an uptick in form because I remember they had a poor kind of run for a bit there. But they've really picked up. Eze is playing well.
Mm-hmm.
They're defending well as well. I can't say that I am shocked. I mean, City did have their chances. That would be fair. But honestly, who doesn't love an underdog story when it's not against your side? Let me be real.
It's very true.
I mean, if that was Chelsea and Liverpool, we'd be pissed. But I feel happy for them.
That's not the operative word, man. I would be more disappointed.
Disappointed, yeah.
You lose
but I feel... I mean, obviously we can talk about the moments in the game, but general thoughts are I feel happy for them. I feel happy to see, them. This is their first ever trophy, ever.
Right.
And that feels so good to watch. And then when you see how their fans were reacting, like, I mean, I know people's made digs about Manchester City support, but honestly, the Palace support at Wembley was amazing. Every tackle, like, honestly, they were good. The goal was a good goal.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I think they had some controversial moments, and we'll talk about them. But what were your thoughts?
Well, firstly, it was a very entertaining game. Very absorbing. I watched it from start to end, and it had me captivated. It was glued to my screen. Like you said, it had had some big talking points. I felt that, like you said, to say that Palace would win a cup, because Newcastle, you might more buy Newcastle because of Newcastle's financial situation at the moment, although they've had their limitations in terms of what they can spend.
And their squad is better.
Correct. And not only that, the start of the season, Palace had a very, very poor start.
Very, very poor.
Lost a big player in Olise. So you felt as though they might struggle. But
that's a good point, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I think Eze had a knock or something at the start of the season, and then he started catch form as the season went on. Margay, he's a good player, as we saw in the European Championships.
Adam Wharton
as well. And they believe that there's some interest in him from the Premier League and from overseas clubs.
Too.
Yeah, I don't blame myself though. Yeah. I could use him.
The fullback too.
Which fullback?
Is he centre back?
The fullback. I mean, Munoz. Yeah, right back. Yeah. And I haven't seen much of Palace this season in terms of watching Palace games, but I think John-Philippe Mateta, the striker, has been a revelation.
Yes, for sure.
Up top, a real handful.
For sure.
Sir, offer some real genuine pace as well. So Palace have some match winners in their ranks, and like I said, it was a very, very competitive game, absorbing game. I thought Palace had a very, very good game plan in terms of when they had the ball, they used it efficiently, and they're always a threat on the break, just because of the sheer strength and power of Mateta, along with the running power of and creativity of Eze and Sir Adam Wharton, and the defenders had a good game as well. Palace defended well. Like you said, City had their chances. On another day, City could have scored that equalizer and maybe gone in front. But Palace defended resolutely, and Palace deserved the victory, in my humble estimation. And like you said, I'm happy. I was trying to say I'm happy for Palace, but I mean, you can't. I don't want to say happy for them. That's the wrong word. But it's admirable. I guess I don't know how to put it, but yeah, I'm not a Palace fan obviously, but I appreciate the feel good factor, the feel good story.
For sure.
The underdog story.
Sure.
First trophy in their history, like you said. And they have some near misses. I do believe they have been to a couple finals before and lost.
Yeah, both to Manchester United. I think I saw that. Yeah.
Correct. So, kudos to them.
Yeah.
Like you said, their fans really played their part, and I'm happy that the team, was able to give the fans a moment that they'll remember for the rest of their existence.
Yeah.
So let's come to the talking points.
Yeah.
So what was the first talking point? You want to talk about Dean Henderson's controversial handball?
There's no better place, because wasn't he the player of the match?
Yes, he was.
The irony.
As Pep said, it's not fair. But nevertheless, as Haaland was played through on goal, Henderson came out to the edge of the box and seemed to have handled the ball outside. Yes.
Oh, it seemed okay.
Seemed to have handled the ball outside the box as Haaland was bearing through on goal. No decision was given at the time, but then VAR checked it, because obviously the question is, did he handle outside the box? Should have been a free kick. Should have been a straight red card, because it's denying a goal scoring opportunity. Honestly, when I first saw it initially, I was like, that looked like he might have handled the ball outside the box. And I do believe he did handle the ball outside the box. So it should have been a free kick, in my humble estimation. It should have been a red card. Maybe not, because the trajectory of the ball meant that Haaland was kind of going away from goal. So maybe you can make an argument that, Haaland still had a lot to do, and maybe it wasn't a clear, obvious chance. But definitely should have been at least a booking and a free kick.
I thought once a goalkeeper handles outside his area is a red card. That's not true?
Well, most of the time, if a goalkeeper handles outside the area, he denied a goal scoring opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had a covering defender. So I think that from my understanding, what the commentator said, that seems to be the.
So that's what VAR. That was what VAR said.
So VAR deemed that the ball was going away from goal, and it wasn't a denial of a clear opportunity. So they decided not to put it back for a free kick.
Interesting.
Okay, go ahead. Give me your thoughts.
I disagree, though. I think City could feel hard done by.
Okay, well, City feel hard.
I mean, I don't care either. I mean, like, but if it was me, if it was against Chelsea, I would feel hard done by.
So what would you want? Would you have wanted the free kick, or you mean as in feel hard done by that he didn't get a red?
I think he should have gone a red.
A red? Okay. Even though the ball was going away from goal. On Haaland's wrong foot as well, because Haaland's left-footed and the ball was on the right hand side, which meant Haaland would have been on his bigger foot.
The law ain't say if all it is that you say. So I just going by the letter of the law.
But okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But I mean, yes, I don't know if this is what you were going to say, but we always complain about referees not using their common sense, and here I am maybe complaining that they did, because maybe they did use their common sense and took all those things into consideration. But I mean, I think it was a pretty clear one.
You see, the only gray area for me is whether, like you said, whether or not it's a clear, obvious chance, because every time a keeper handles the ball outside the box, it doesn't necessarily mean a red card.
Okay.
But in most scenarios, if a keeper handles the ball or plays the ball, he is going to deny it, because it's probably keepers are more or less the last man.
Right.
In most scenarios. In this case, the argument is Haaland got away from goal and I think there was 2 pass defenders that were in the vicinity.
Okay.
That close enough that you could judge maybe they could have gone back and at least stop the ball, or maybe it's not necessarily keep a Benny last man in that scenario.
Okay.
I probably should have watched it back before we come on here to see again.
Me too.
For a conclusive, But from my estimation, that was what the commentator said. Not that commentators always right, but that's what they said.
Exactly, true.
I guess I kind of understood. I could understand it. So
yeah. I think though that when Bernardo Silva, was Bernardo Silva? Who missed the penalty?
Marmouche,
right. I think when he missed the penalty, that's when New Palace was going to win though.
What was he decision for the penalty again? For who? I can't remember.
Mitchell. Kind of.
Well, but he slayed Bernardo Silva. Right.
So my thing was after they get away with the VAR call, and then the missing penalty, I was like, yeah, the Palace game in this final. I mean, I just had a feeling.
There's a long way to go.
It's true, but I just had that feeling.
What do you think about Haaland not taking the responsibility of taking the penalty?
I will only have a comment. Okay, who is their usual penalty taker? And he just okay.
But I think they said his last penalty he missed.
And
exactly.
Okay, well, I thought that since I know he used to take penalties before Marmouche came, so I thought that since Marmouche came, it switched. But if he's a regular penalty taker, I don't see why he wouldn't have taken the penalty.
I mean, he just returned for injury. Maybe that could be a factor. But I think he had a penalty. Because they played Bournemouth recently, right?
They played Bournemouth today.
And they played some boy recently, and the commentator mentioned that he had missed. He got saved.
Yeah, but
wait, did they mention it?
Yeah, they wanted it. 3-1. Oh. 2 red cards in that game though.
To Bournemouth?
1 to City, 1 to Bournemouth.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I feel like if you're the regular penalty taker, regardless of whether you missed the last penalty or not, you should take it. I genuinely thought that the penalty duties had been passed to Marmouche, so I didn't see a problem with it at the time, but yeah, he should have taken the penalty though. If
Haaland on the field, Haaland should take the penalty.
Yeah.
Because he's your most recognized goal scorer, right?
And he's a pretty decent penalty taker too. 1 miss doesn't negate that.
I'm not sure if it's 1 miss. I can't remember. But the point being is that, how do I put it? Could have been a confidence issue, just return for injury, maybe not in the best of form. Because you could argue that Haaland hasn't necessarily been in the best of form this season overall. But it's a big chance to pass it, and then it's like, why didn't you take it? No. Even if he passes to Marmouche, there were other candidates as well that could have taken the penalty. You had Marmouche on the field. There was Kevin De Bruyne on the field. There was Bernardo Silva on the field as well. So City will always have chances or options for penalty kick takers. So it was just an interesting decision. And like you said, if you're a first choice penalty taker, you should take the penalty. It might only, and it doesn't appear that was the case, but my only query about it was, well, if it came from Pep that Marmouche should take Marmouche should be designated penalty taker.
I don't think anybody would have said whether that was the case or not. I don't remember reading anything.
Correct. Yeah. I haven't heard anything about that. But it's one of those interesting ones. Right.
Happy for Palace though.
Any other talking points in the game?
Not really.
I have a talking point.
I know people had some issues with the refereeing though.
In terms of
being a bit inconsistent. I remember seeing persons complaining that De Bruyne got away with a couple yellow card offenses.
There was
and then there was debate over the penalty as well.
There was somebody. That was a penalty.
I think so too.
There was somebody who made a couple incessant fouls and didn't get booked. I can't remember who the player was. That is the truth. I can't remember. But the talking point I had. And this is kind of like, if I was going to be happy for Palace, right? This is where I'll be happy for Palace more than anything else.
You going to talk about Pat at the end of the game?
Yes. Because we're going to get to the stage where we call these managers to a certain degree. I do believe that, and feel free to come at me if you think that the Liverpool managers in the past have been guilty of this too. Maybe they have. But you're going to get to the point where these top managers, if you lose a cup final or you lost an important game, even I know I get the whole I'm frustrated, I'm pissed off, whatever the case be, but shit, man, you go in the same class that you show in victory, you need to learn how to show in defeat. Now, Henderson approached him to shake his hand and he shaking his finger. It's not fair. What is not fair?
He ain't doing nothing.
You coach first, right? You get from Pep case. Pep feel that is a joke, right? Pep has coached Barcelona. When they would have been guilty for going down and wasting time and rolling around. You would have been back of that a couple of times, right?
You wait for Lona, that's what it's called.
Pat with a coach. Since Pat has been at City these last 8 years, I'm pretty sure there've been games where
definitely gets the rub
some
of
of
the
the
green.
players have gotten away with maybe should have gotten a second, but Fernandinho used to be there as a holder and fouling incessantly and getting away for game. But I can remember handball. Is it handball? Again, that some boy handed the ball for City and it wasn't called.
Yes.
I think in the title round against me.
And then in the FA Cup, was that the final or semi-final? When we play them, clear handball, not given.
Right. So
all them instances.
I don't get me wrong, right? You're not saying that you should accept bad decisions from referees or stuff like that necessarily. But at the same time, even if you upset the goal, a certain standard behavior that you should adopt.
I agree.
And he should know better.
He should.
You're a big boy head.
You have to be gracious in defeat, like you said.
As the Henderson said, you get your 10 minutes at extra time. What more you want?
Exactly, because I'm like, where did that come from?
You had 10 minutes at injury time. What more you want? No?
Yeah.
You want 20?
It's true. I think you said it perfectly when you said the same grace you show in victory, you have to show in defeat. It's all good and well when you winning things and you all nice and stuff. But just because you're feeling the pressure, just because it doesn't go your way, you may be frustrated and angry. You're human. Mm-hmm. But come on, you gotta show grace too. You have to show grace in those moments too, because I think it was really unnecessary. And to me, like, okay, you're Man City's manager. You ain't give 2 World Cups if Palace just win the first trophy. But understand the occasion, understand the moment. And that was not the time for him to behave like that, especially in front of cameras rolling. It was just so unnecessary, in my opinion. And my issue with how he behaved too is, what did Dean Henderson do? Dean Henderson could send himself off.
Correct. It's
Dean Henderson fault that Mamouche missed the penalty. I mean, or Haaland didn't take the penalty, because if you saw after the game, Henderson said if Haaland was taking the penalty, he had no idea where he was going to go, but he knew where Mamouche was going to go. Mm-hmm. So again, like, it's not Henderson's fault.
I had a feeling, but the thing is, right? More on that. The thing is, for me, is that if the role was reversed, you could swear to me that City wouldn't have taken the edge over restarting the game on occasion.
Of course,
wouldn't have made the corner flag.
Everybody does it.
Wouldn't have made the most of
Let's call it the arts. That was
minimal contact, gamesmanship, or whatever case. But can you guarantee me that would have happened? So what he complaining about?
That reminds me of I mean, I know we bash Arsenal a lot, but it does remind me of the Arsenal PSG second leg, when obviously PSG were ahead, but Arsenal had just gotten a goal back, so they were taking a little bit longer. Arteta is silenced. And I'm like, my man, you players is set at age and a day over set pieces, though. Like, come on, what goes around comes around.
You see, the problem with Arsenal, right, is that Arsenal got a tendency that when they're in a big game, as big as it might be, it's never decisive. And when they're in them is one get on the field and take pictures. And
it's true.
Yeah, that ain't problem. They like too much over celebrating before they actually get the ribbon for the playing trophy. That ain't down problem. But yeah, Pep, I think that for me, what I did is that would kind of like sour how the neutral fan or just certain observers view City. Shit in my hand, show a little bit of class.
Yeah.
I lost at home on penalties to PSG the Wednesday or Tuesday, I can't remember which day it was in the week, and they get trounced. I get whooped by Newcastle at Wembley on the Sunday after, and you saw Van Dijk and Slot and the Liverpool players after receiver runners up medal, deliberately waited at the bottom for every Newcastle player to congratulate him as a mentor. Yeah. Or they came, no, I can't remember which order it was. But the point is to show class. Exactly.
But being classless and not showing grace is another.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that in the future Cup might not run a follow this same thing. Because you're human. Yeah. So I'm saying that I didn't want to say that.
But
I
you didn't say
Pep with this nasty brush the whole time.
But remember when you started the segment, you didn't say let me call out Pep. You say it's time to call out managers. Yeah, so it's not you're not being biased. You're just saying it across the board, and it's true. You see too much of it. Just show respect and grace to the opposition, because it's a big moment in their history. They deserve the win. It's not like that you dominate them 98% of the ball and them score a jammy goal. They scored a very well-worked goal. Yeah. They had a disallowed goal. So, like, and that was
correct disallowed.
Yeah, correct disallowed. I think Eze had a pretty decent chance as well. So, it's not like Palace ain't do nothing in the game. They deserve their victory. So, if you want to be a grouch with the referees. But I didn't like it. I didn't like the scenes afterwards. To be
Jean-Philippe Mateta, man. Big
I would like Chelsea to buy him.
For true.
I think he's a different kind of profile.
Yes, he is. But my only concern is the age.
He's 27.
Right, 27.
That's not bad.
Ain't no company radar.
True.
So for me, this is I know that certain players have good seasons or good moments at different times.
Mm-hmm.
All that nice jazz, but for me, I think top quality players is emerge a lot sooner.
Fair.
Not especially in the forward line. You might more find a defender, like a centre back, for example, emerging a bit later in the career, as opposed to a striker or offensive player. That's just me. So I ain't saying anything against you. You know, you had a good season. It'd be interesting. Like you said, it could be maybe a different option. You never know. He might come and displace Nicholas Jackson or whoever from your front line.
Don't speak Voldemort's name in my presence.
You call him what?
Voldemort.
Is it because he already got which game it was?
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Dumb idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry, not dumb idiot. Just I don't want to be disrespectful, but that was just frustrating, man.
You lost Newcastle game, right? It's Man U that you beat.
Yeah. And strangely enough, I think we played better with 10 men. Maybe Jay gets it also.
You did play better with 10 men because I watched that game too. But I didn't feel like you create any much clear cut opportunities though. So that was the last thing that was missing. All right, so that brings us to the end. Before we wrap, congrats to Palace. No for any Dugout.
I also have to say too, I mean, it's not an agenda, but it would be remiss of me. The following day, our women beat Manchester United women 3-0 in the women's final to win a domestic treble. An invincible domestic treble, I might say.
I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah, our women is take care of business.
Actually, I think the female women's European Championship is this summer.
Yeah, Euros. Yeah, that's true.
I might peep at it.
Yeah,
I think I'll peep at it.
Yeah, all right. Interesting.
So who you got to win, baby? Germany?
No.
Not in a good moment this time.
England's defending champions, right?
Yeah.
And Spain is defending world champions.
Correct.
I'm sure England didn't look.
Yeah, England don't look that solid. I think England have a couple of injuries that are missing some key players that would have been.
I think that's gonna happen in chances for sure. So I might back Spain to win again. Spain to win the Euros, I should say. Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to the end of segment 1. Our next segment is a preview of the European finals. So we have 3 European finals coming up, starting with tomorrow's game. So let's start there. The Europa League final. We have the Premier League 16th place team against the Premier League 17th place team.
Oh my gosh, still struggling for 40 points. You remember when 40 points was the target to avoid relegation?
You remember?
Oh my gosh.
So 2 jokes. I saw a stat that United were on 30 points in December. Or 39. And it's mid.
You mean serious?
I'm so serious. I saw a stat that said that.
Wow.
I
saw another stat that said that their women have more points than their men, and they've played because obviously the women's league is only 22 games.
Right.
And they will finish on less points than the women who've played much less games.
Other stat. Well, sorry, not the other stat. I went out on Friday night. And a friend of mine watches football sometimes, but he hasn't really paid attention to the Premier League this season. And he said, Liverpool champions, right? I said, yeah. She was asked about, where certain teams are in the standings. And he made a mistake and asked me.
Were United?
We're United. I said 17th. My head nearly pop off like a horror movie. You serious? I said yes. I couldn't believe it. I know the difficult thing to fathom.
It is. Honestly, I think Amorim is getting away with this European run,
But I told you for a couple of things, right? Remember I said that I didn't expect Lee Farm to be this disastrous.
Yeah, exactly.
But I said that because he inherited a squad that was underperforming, it wouldn't necessarily be a case of we get Saki. He ain't got almost like a free hit. I felt that way. Now, again, the point where this free hit might be short-lived. But again, the European run is interesting because it could do one or two things. It could, if they do win the trophy tomorrow, it could it definitely will put them in a better position going into summer in terms of what they can do in terms of improving the squad. But at the same time, it might paper over the cracks. Maybe players that he's saying
both things can be true.
Don't necessarily, fit in, and they don't necessarily go forward, and it's the same old thing next season. I can't remember the other thing was, but go ahead.
Look, I think we would not sit here and say Ten Hag did not deserve to be sacked. Let me be real. But I think
I do think Ten Hag deserves to be sacked. You want to know why?
Oh my gosh.
Want me to tell you why the honest truth? I am not joking. Yes, one trophies.
You tried to say it with a straight face. You really did. You really did. You
I
really
tried to
did.
sound like Ten Hag. I just said it. I have won trophies.
Oh my
One of the
gosh.
biggest trophies, man.
By the end of the day, the top 4 race, like we see how tight it has been.
Mhm.
That became a top 5 race. Then he was only 4 points adrift.
Yeah.
Because his season had recently started.
But the problem with Ten Hag is that he was, because they were, the league position was like 8th or something like that, or 9th maybe, can't remember. But they were only 5 or 6 points by maximum. So it wasn't like completely okay. I didn't think they would get any hope.
Right.
But it wasn't okay, the realms of possibility, well, obviously not mathematically, but it wasn't okay realms of possibility that it was like an insurmountable lead that they couldn't call back.
Right.
The problem with Ten Hag is that you won the FA Cup, yes, spent a bucket load of money again, and there wasn't any real sign of progress in terms of quality of play. I think that was telling anything.
Yeah, I just would have loved to see what would have happened if Man United were eliminated from the Europa League earlier.
What happened?
Yeah, I really do. I really, really do. Because I know some people that are like, the league don't matter, Europa League don't matter. But I also know some fans, based on some podcasts and stuff I've been listening to, that are saying this is actually downright acceptable. Because despite the fact that we know you've said for years, Man United squad needs surgery, it's very lopsided and stuff like that. My United squad is not 16th in the league.
Yeah, it's not.
So I think that he's getting away with a lot, in my opinion, to be honest.
I actually think that Man U squad should be a top 7.
Probably, if you're being real.
Yeah. So if I'm being honest, I would give Man U both top 7 finish.
Yeah. They finished 8th last season, right? I think so, because it was Spurs 5th, Chelsea 6th. I think Man United finished 8th.
But a couple of things. Man United has been like a litany of bad decisions. They should have gone rid of Ten Hag this summer.
Which is what tells me they won't get rid of Amorim regardless.
They won't, but I don't expect them to. I mean, regardless of what happens tomorrow, I do not expect them to. If you get rid of Amorim, what are you going to do? Exactly. He can't argue that this is my squad. There's kind of like a narrative that has been built, whether it's true or not, because I'm of the opinion that a squad might not be yours, but you should still be able to motivate players of that quality.
100%.
To get better performances and more consistent results.
100%.
I feel like even if the players aren't necessarily suited to the formation of play or what's not, there can be some adjustments that should be made. Now you should start to see a bit of an improvement. And I mean, they've done well to get to the Europa League final. And like I said, again, the other thing, the Europa League final is that could the momentum in the Europa League final start galvanizing the squad that they do better next year in league. I don't know. But the point being is that I don't expect him to be sacked. I find that as the season has gone on, he said a lot of strange stuff. You don't feel so?
I have. Right. I have felt that way. I mean, people... Okay. Let me be real. We used to call out Ten Hag delusion a lot. Mm-hmm. So, Amorim has been very honest, but then I almost feel sometimes he's gone too far.
Yes.
And I feel like you said it best at the beginning. You talked about how he has a free hit. I feel like he knows he has a free hit and he's doing the most.
Yeah, it's almost like
it feels that way.
It's almost like he's playing. You said he's very honest, but sometimes it feels as if he's playing mind games in media.
Yeah.
Some narratives, like he almost suggested that he will walk away from a job if results don't improve. A lot of weird things.
I'm interested to see how he evolves. Let me give this season a pass. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see how he goes next season. But about tomorrow, oh gosh, probably the worst European final since Liverpool versus Spurs.
It won't be.
I'm talking about in terms of somebody that I don't like is going to win.
Oh, okay, that you mean, okay.
Yeah.
But it won't be. It won't. Oh, sorry. Actually, fair enough. It could be in that context, yes. Yeah. But let's come in nitty-gritty. We haven't really mentioned Spurs much. But again, they can argue that they've had a lot of injuries, I guess.
It's true.
I think they have.
Because Bergvall is out tomorrow, so it's Maddison.
So they've had a lot of injuries and stuff like that. Maddison's also out. So I guess that would be their excuse for why their league form has been so bad.
Yeah.
But I think it got to a point where I think the players at the squad, I think Tottenham were just playing for Europa League as well.
Yeah, agreed. 21 losses in a season, damn.
Horrible, right?
Probably going to be
If
22.
Tottenham win tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
because I think if they lose, then I think that would be it for
sure.
And I think I said that earlier. I think he would have been in the job as long as they stayed in Europa League,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't expect him to be in Europa League this long, but I did think that the Europa League would have been the saving grace as to how long Daniel Levy would wait before pulling the trigger. If Tottenham win tomorrow, is that enough in your estimation for a Postecoglou to get third season?
21 losses in the league.
Yeah, but you won Europa League a first trophy for Tottenham since 2008, and it's a big one too. A big one in the sense that it guarantees you back in Champions League in a seeded spot. You know what I mean? But you're back in Champions League, which is where Tottenham wants to be. Which is important for these other players and improvements in squad that Tottenham will want to make.
But 21 losses in the league though. That's the part that I can't get over.
Wait, but Jess, I mean, how much losses Man U had this season?
17.
That's equally as bad. I know all the losses in Ten Hag one. Sorry, in Amarin, Amarin's.
Mm-hmm.
But if Man U win the Europa League, but we both agree that Amarin won't be sacked. But let's say that I do. Let's say in a there's a scenario where that's not necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
And Man U hierarchy might be looking to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
If Man U win, if Man U doesn't win, game missed with this question. Anyway, if Man U wins Europa League despite league form, would you start them Amarin?
No.
Okay.
Because it's different contexts.
Okay.
Ange has been there longer.
Right. Ange no. But on this season. But anyway, if Ange wins Europa League and he delivers on his promise. Remember his third season he said I always win something in my second season. And he wins something that is very valuable to the club. Because it's not only a trophy, it's not only a bit of souvenir for Tottenham to get and show a bus parade. And Tottenham, if you win Europa League, show the parade.
Of course they will.
Nobody can blame you. I'm actually going right past Everett Stadium too. But listen, right? If Postecoglou wins the Europa League, despite 21 losses in the league, Marissa, would you keep him or would you sack him?
Let me go back. Last season, remember Tottenham were like top of the league before that Chelsea game. They were unbeaten. Remember that chaotic Chelsea game where they went on to 9 men?
They were at top of the league.
Whether if they were top, they were unbeaten though. They were unbeaten because Chelsea was their first loss. Since those first few games of the season, I have seen nothing but inconsistency from Spurs. So it's not. I could point to 21 losses this season, but it also goes about her last season. I find, and to me, Ange is too stubborn. Even without the injuries, I think Spurs have been horrific. And Ange, to me, does not adapt when he needs to. And I just feel like, per se as a Chelsea fan, he could stay in job forever. But as a Spurs fan, I will try something different though. Because ultimately the league is your bread and butter. Yes, say thank you for the trophy and bye. How many owners have done that? Did Louis Van Gaal not get sat after FA Cup?
Yes, but
Ten Hag probably should have been sat after the FA Cup. Let me not think that winning a trophy, and to be fair, I would say the only team of note that Spurs played was Frankfurt, in my opinion. I don't remember any other notable opponents in there. Say thanks for the trophy and bye. That's what personally I would do if I was in his shoe. If I was a Spurs fan, I don't think I would want to go into the league with that. But on the flip side, you mentioned about Man United. The same goes for Spurs. Not only are they back in the Champions League, but I think you get 100 million if you win the Europa League. You get a lot more money to spend. You can improve that squad tremendously. So maybe you give him the third season. I don't know, but I don't think I could do it. I think Spurs have been poor for 18 months. So that's my thought. That's my perspective.
All right.
Would you?
If I would keep it? That's a tough one to say. Actually, you're right. No, seriously. Because again, I looking at the fact of I don't sorry, mean in terms of since Chelsea feet was inconsistent, but it still finished fifth. Right?
True.
That's they still finished fifth. No, so nobody could have foreseen what happened this year.
True.
And I always like to look at I get your point about stubbornness and adaptability and doing conversations and dropping a bit deeper yourself, at high line all the time when you're vulnerable, when you're playing players in a good position that aren't necessarily defenders either. I get all of that. There's another thing I was going to mention. Well, yes, but I always look at, the reason why. What's the reason? What's the real reason why you have performed so badly in the league?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the fact that you're stubborn, which has a part to play, but is it more so the injuries and missing the quality personnel that if you had at your disposal, would it have been different? I believe that a fully fit Ramiro and Van de Ven has a name.
Van de Ven, yeah.
Van de Ven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Madison and Udogi and the goalkeeper Vicario, for example, players that were out for a substantial portions, Bentancur. I believe that with those players available, Spurs wouldn't have lost 21 games. That's just me.
That's fair.
I don't think I think there would have been a drop off. There could have been still been a drop off. So does my empathy or understanding of what has happened this season mean that I would give him another year or not? This is going to determine it for me. You mentioned the Bangal and the Ten Hags and stuff like that, right? But for me, a big consensus or a big portion in my fan base, even former players especially with Van Gaal, would have been against him and wanted him out because they didn't let you set up football.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that the same with Tottenham? I think Tottenham fans are disappointed about the amount of defeats that they've sustained and the embarrassing nature of some of those performances too. But do you get the sense that Tottenham fans are, for the most part, I'm talking about just expressions on the internet, ranting about a singular result. But do you think the Tottenham fan base is sick and, fed up with Paul Scholes at this point? I think they're more fed up with Daniel Levy, if you can ask.
I think a bit of both. I think what I have realized as the season has gone on is they definitely had sympathy for Ange because the squad was thin and light and they bought a lot of young players in summer. Mm-hmm. But I think as the season has gone on, and you mentioned it, you're playing, I think at one point Bergvall was playing centre back. Yes. You're playing players that... exactly. You're playing young players not in their preferred position, adapt the system to suit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the frustration with Ange then began to grow among at least the different, not only expressions, the different people I would have listened to and stuff online. I get the sense that Spurs fans do like you style of play. They just get fed up that there's no sort of adaptability and they repeat the same patterns. All their losses essentially, you could look the same. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it'll be a tough. I think it'll be a tough one
to call too.
Yeah.
I think if Tottenham win tomorrow, it's a tough one to call.
Yeah. But prediction.
I get 2. And when I say get 2, I give it. I actually come off the fence with Ange's decision. I was Saki ultimately because I would just not be convinced about whole next season.
Exactly.
That's me. So I think ultimately taking everything in consideration, I wouldn't necessarily want to.
Yeah.
But I feel as though if being a businessman, just taking the human side of it, you might go apart with.
Yeah. Thanks, somebody.
The next thing, the result of the game, some boy asked me that in gym this morning, and he said, boy, that's a close one to call. Both of us are bad, right? I know which one to pick. But I can stick with my original feeling. No, I wouldn't be as disappointed as if Tottenham me because, I hate Man U more than I hate Tottenham. Actually, I don't hate Tottenham, to be honest. But I can stick with my original feeling, which is that I think you have more experience of winning big games or being in that position a bit more often and getting over the line. You look at Bruno's, who else in my squad? Casemiro's, for example.
Maguire.
He didn't necessarily get over the line, but he played in big games before, big finals before. In comparison to the members he taught on the squad. I think I kind of favor, the Lits, for example.
I think they're injured.
Oh, my bad.
But I'm not sure. I know that some players may be back because I know Lenny Euro and Delo had injury concerns. So I think some of those players are coming back. So maybe Delete might be fit.
But prediction. This game's so tough to call. I actually think, okay, oh God. See, every day, right? Every moment it feels as though my feelings swing. I really don't know.
What your gut saying?
My gut saying. My gut telling me, man, you will find a way to win. Mm-hmm. But I didn't necessarily want to discredit Tottenham and completely write off Tottenham because I think if everything go right for Tottenham already, I think if Solanke, for example, get a couple of chances and he inform me click, I think Solanke could be a match winner for Tottenham. When they compare, if you compare man for man the teams, I think Solanke is a better finisher, a better front pair striker than Højlund, for example, at this stage. I think Song could be an important piece as well. I think Casemiro could be a very crucial piece for Man United. I think the goalkeepers. So yeah, it's a very difficult game to predict. Marissa,
So your gut says United.
My gut tell me United, but my heart want to tell me Tottenham. Shane got dropped for Tottenham today.
I mean, you had a lot. I saw a tweet the other day. A lot of teams breaking decade-long curses and stuff. Harry Kane win his first trophy.
Underdog being the
exactly, you never know. But technically, Man United is Spurs underdog because Spurs beat them 3 times this season.
So who you going with?
I don't have a prediction. All I would say is, I think if Tottenham can shut down Fernandes, they can shut down United. Everything good about United is through Fernandes, either through creating something or doing something himself. I think you mentioned the match winners. I think if you look around that squad, we have both been very critical of Bruno in the past, but Bruno is literally carrying Man United.
I think he's really showing some captain-like performances in January.
Definitely.
I will give him that.
And I think that if Spurs can stop him, I think they can win. But if they allow Fernandes to dictate the game and do whatever he like, I think United will win.
See, again, it comes to who got bigger players. Because like you said, I even mentioned Bruno, but Bruno for sure, I think he's key. But again, all right, so the same breath if you said to me, if I look at it and they said, okay, well, who on the Spurs so you can really stop Bruno? I can't think of nobody.
Sure.
I can't think of nobody. And that's what worries me.
Yeah.
I think to me, what happens for Spurs is that Spurs attacking players come to the party.
Yeah.
In a big way. The likes of Son, the likes of Solanke.
Son needs to have a big game because Son has been poor.
Likes of Kulisevsky. I feel like they will have to come to the party in a creative sense.
I agree with you.
And really unsettle the back line of United. And United midfield will be kind of like indisciplined and offer too many gaps, which I don't see happening. Cause I think in these big European finals, the experience of Casemiro, for example,
it's true.
Ugart, for example. So I think ultimately United might edge it.
Yeah, that's my fear too. My fear is that United will win tomorrow. That's the thing. I mean, obviously, I like taking the Mickey out of the Spurs that they haven't won anything, God knows how long, but I don't think I want United to win either. I don't want them to be in a position to rebuild the way they want to. Because I do think Amorim ultimately is a good coach.
You think so? Mm-hmm. We'll see.
He's shown that with Sporting. I mean, obviously, Ten Hag showed that with Ajax, so you could use that example. But I think United, you said it as well on the last podcast. I more trust Spurs to mess up being in Champions League and mess up the money and mess up the spending than United at this point. In my opinion. But we will see.
Yeah, we will see.
Champions League.
Yes.
I think this is tough to call too.
Yeah, very tough. PSG, Inter Milan.
Yeah, I feel like this is a result that I can be happy regardless. Because I would have liked Inter to win the last time they made the final. And I think PSG winning in their first season without Mbappe would be a story. So I think I'll be fine with whatever result, but it's tough to call PSG or really. We've said it many times. We said it in the lead up to their tie against you, and since they're a different side, more resilient. But Inter showing that Barcelona tell you that they got something about them too.
Because Inter should have been dead and buried.
Dead and buried.
And the goal at extra time galvanized them and sent Barcelona in the direction.
It's true. I feel. This is not PSG first final, right? PSG played a final against.
They lost to
Bayern Munich.
That was the COVID final.
What does my gut say about this game? My gut says Inter.
My gut tells me Inter too. Funny enough, my gut is telling me Inter as well. Yeah. I think that Inter. What's the word? I think that Inter will be well organized. I think that Inter gonna play them a bit stiff and physical. I think Inter got goals in them as well. So I don't think conceding necessarily going to stop Inter or stun them too much.
It's true.
I think Inter got good midfield players as well. Barella, for example, who will get on the ball and do certain things as well creatively. I just think Inter gonna make the game a bit different to what PSG used to. for some reason, and I feel as though Inter's defense can hold up.
Yeah, I agree. I think I might go to extra time though, but I'm sure it ain't no penalties.
But somebody got to tell me Inter as well. But I wonder if Donnarumma got one more big game in it. I could prove to be different. So.
Very true. Very true.
Although Sommer has done really well.
He has. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Both keepers have
this
been.
game is very.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at both teams across the pitch,
you can find a reason why each team might win the game.
Exactly. Marquinhos has been excellent for PSG.
Kvaratskhelia, yeah.
Excellent. Donnarumma.
I mean,
the guy in midfield for them. What he name?
Vitinha?
No, the other one. Shoot.
Fabian Ruiz, and then there's the other one. The Portuguese boy. Can't remember his name right now.
It might be him.
Which one?
The Portuguese one.
Vitinha. I can't remember Vitinha.
But Vitinha has been good too. Like
Vitinha, there's another one in midfield.
Yeah, I know.
Midfield.
Mendes? Is it Nuno Mendes or does he left back?
I left back.
Whatever.
Yeah. Can't remember his name.
Let me Google quick. But like you said, you mentioned Inter's midfield. Then Martinez has been excellent for him.
Martinez that really impressed me with Inter is more Turan.
Yes, his hold up play has been.
Hold up play, that pace. Kind of log. That's his name. That's his name. The midfield boy that offers the goals. Yes, this.
João Neves.
Right.
It can be tight though.
It can be
but
tight.
I think Inter can do it.
I think Inter can do it. And I think because it's like I mean, PSG got aspirants too, but it's like the aspirants Inter versus the youth. And the youth versus PSG.
True. Very, very true.
Barcola,
because that's my other thing. Are Inter's far line gonna miss the chances that PSG missed? Because PSG could have had Arsenal dead and buried way earlier.
Right.
But they missed some really good chances. So yeah, and Inter are clinical. So yeah.
But if you gotta get pushed off a cliff, which you say Inter, you say gut.
Yeah, my gut tell me Inter.
Okay.
Yeah.
My gut tell me all sorts of things.
My gut has been wrong before though. Very wrong.
All right.
Are we gonna talk about the Leicester?
I stay with Inter too.
Okay. Are we gonna talk about the Leicester European final?
If you want to, Chelsea play at Betis, Conference League. I haven't watched any Conference League games this year, and I guess I'll watch a game. I saw a Chelsea fan in the supermarket this evening too when he told me that Betis got some really good players.
Anthony pun something. I know we all since he left Man United, but he put something.
He free.
Crying. Sound like Sancho now.
I think Chelsea will win. For your sake, I hope they win.
Me too, boy, because I know Chelsea, it depends on what Chelsea turn out, but what I've been impressed with Marissa lately is that he has shown adaptability. I find he made, like, in these last 3 games this season, he has said when we went into those last 5 games that we're playing cup finals. And I find we have played like finals. We've been more solid at the back, conceding a lot less chances than we were when we were in that horror run. So I think based on how he has been setting us up lately, I do have some confidence, but sometimes Chelsea can't put away games, and that's my fear. But we'll see.
But again, if Betis was to win, it would be a very good story for Betis.
I don't care about the story for the other team.
This is the season of giant slurs.
Yeah, that's the worry too, actually.
So we'll see.
We will see. So let me do some quick predictions because time is running away. The leaderboard, I have a 10-point gap. I could still be close. I could have a horror week. You could have a fantastic week.
Roll your eyes, guys. Roll your eyes.
But yes, I am in the lead. I wish I could put it up, but I know it's 10 points.
I feel I can't see this.
Like you conceded every sense, but I still being,
Yeah, at least 3 episodes now.
So 77 to 67. Yeah, me. We didn't have the best weeks. I don't think either of us got a, prediction like spot on. So yeah, let's do some quick predictions for the final week of Premier League action, and then we talk about briefly who we think are gonna get in the top 5. So you got the games and met these predictions. All of them. This is all of them kicking off at the same time, right?
Yes, please.
You say yes.
All right, so Sunday, it's May 25th. Sticking with just the top.
Yeah, just the usual.
All right, so Fulham, home to Man City.
Draw would be nice, but I think we'll draw 1-1.
Okay. I'm going to go with 2-1 City, man.
So City confirmed Champions League with that win.
Liverpool at home to Crystal Palace. Liverpool, who are the champions, but haven't won a game since.
Well, that's true. Lost to Chelsea, drew to Arsenal, lost to Brighton. Yeah, they'll win this, though.
Yeah, I think they win too, but Laura have Marissa on the beach.
Yeah.
They have been on the beach definitely since the confirmed the league.
I can't begrudge the beach, man.
I'd begrudge the beach. I won't be dominant. I want to make sure
enough.
that you really have a home five is the best thing. I mean, not certain narratives be written, but nevertheless.
Yeah.
Like you said, I can't begrudge them.
So what's your prediction?
Right. I predict Liverpool to win this game 2-1 as well.
All right, I'm going 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay. Palace on the hay after FA Cup?
Yeah. They had their last home win together today, and then good.
You know, right? I bet on myself.
Why?
Because I let you kind of put don't win money, right? I told you when we discussed the top five initially. I think Villa might still be in it because I saw Villa winning almost every game.
I don't know how Villa...
Look at this run.
Because we broke it down. I don't know where Villa come from.
But I remember initially I said I think Villa could still win or do something here.
Will not lie down.
Man United at home to Villa.
I know you can't trust United.
We already know what happened.
You can't trust United for nothing.
So I go ahead first. You're first.
The whole PM would tell me 1-1, but I think Villa can win this 2-1.
Okay. I pick Villa to win this 2-0.
Oh gosh.
Next we have this is the Saturday feature game.
Let me leave that for last.
Oh God. Anyway.
Arsenal Southampton, it should be?
Yes. I know we want to leave that for last. They make a difference?
No, I want to leave
fair enough.
Yeah. That would lead into our conversation.
No believe it. But anyway.
Arsenal will be at Southampton, right?
Yes, please. I'll go first this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Arsenal will be at Southampton. I'm 1-0 Arsenal.
We'll go 2-0.
All right. And then we have Tottenham at home to Brighton.
Spurs to get lost 22. Andrew definitely gets that. I'll go 2-2.
I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton. All right, so the last game in this round of predictions, we have Forest hosting Chelsea.
Thank God you're
top
going
5
first.
decider.
I need some time to think.
Get me so sick. Whoa. I am going to go 2-2.
You know, it's so weird, right? I hear my head ticket is a draw enough. Let me look at the table quick. I already wrote on my prediction, but I just want to see if it draw, if it'll be enough. That would put us at 77. Wait, who Newcastle playing? Everton. Shucks.
Yeah, Newcastle playing Everton.
Nah, a draw is not going to be enough. A draw is not going to be enough if Villa win. A draw would be enough if United could do something for me, but I don't trust them. I put on 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea?
I ain't got a choice. I can. But let me be real about. Let me talk about the game though. Let me be real about it. Especially since we already confirmed City going. Arsenal in.
Mm-hmm.
We already confirmed City.
Mm-hmm.
We believe Newcastle will win, right?
Yes, Newcastle at home against
Everton.
Right?
Yeah,
Newcastle win.
Yeah, Newcastle will win. That's the top 4 settled.
Mm-hmm. So it's really Chelsea after Villa Forest.
Exactly. A draw is enough if Villa don't win.
Yes, because if you win, you right. Because
if I win it, done.
Right, because Villa ain't beating the body, he ain't beating 9-10 though.
Exactly.
So close that goal difference.
So we have to win.
Yes.
But if United could do something, I mean, it's their last home game of the season, Andrew. Surely they want to do something for the fans. They want parade the potential Europa League around Old Trafford. You don't want to do that on the summer note of a loss, right? I know I'm talking foolishness. But honestly...
I was really looking at you like, you really want me to answer this?
Honestly, Chelsea have to win. Will Chelsea win? I don't know. Forest is the sort of dirty... When I say dirty, I mean like a bad side. I mean like them is the sort of side that can make it hard niggly fouls here and there, staying down longer, galvanized, but because as you start to say that Chelsea will hit the
might
play.
help you. Because you talked before might do that. You actually don't think first make it physically,
make it difficult. And we struggle in them
games.
But
you think that gonna help you more than anything else is that Forest also has Champions League ambition and Forest need to win. So that will help you more than anything else. The fact that Forest also need to win.
But we don't have a striker. Because that person decide to get sent off against Newcastle.
For Palmer to come and show the world how good he is.
I don't know. I think we can do it. I really do. The Conference League is before that game?
No.
When the Conference League final is?
I think
next week Thursday?
Next week, yeah, Thursday.
So. Look, I think we could do it.
Or Wednesday.
I think we can do it. I believe we can do it.
It's only hope.
But I am afraid of what I will see when that kicks off. Because I was confident for Newcastle, you know.
I didn't know if you do it, though. You want to know how I know if you do it. I ain't watching your game, though. Don't worry. I ain't watch my game because I want to see my team in the future. Right? I ain't watch my game. I ain't watch your game, but I can know if you do it or not. You want to know why? Because I guarantee you, right, that if you do it, Christopher Cox will call me. If you don't do it, I can hear he got ear wall. I got set APP out for he ain't gonna missing. I ain't hear you neither. So I can know which way it make.
We can't start bad though. We started poorly against United. We started poorly against Newcastle. We can't start poorly against Forest. If we start poorly against Forest, it's done. If Forest leads, exactly. If Forest get our lead, the game done. I can't see we coming back. So,
Lord, sticking out to one.
I can stick to it because I ain't got a choice. But do I actually believe it is the other question.
Boy. Yeah, you got a red card. That wasn't a red card, though. My humble estimation.
I think it was soft.
Oh, you think it was soft?
Yeah.
Right?
But it was still an idiotic decision from Jackson.
What was it an idiotic decision?
Because he clearly looked and put elbow.
But for me, right, how I interpret that is that yes, look at the man. He saw the man. And he put your elbow, that's to shield the ball.
Fair enough. But did you see him protesting much when he got sent off?
Wait, he ain't gonna protest off.
Oh, come on. People protest all the time.
Even the VAR, Mario record.
Personally, I think it's off.
Man, you're sure, right? I didn't confirm it. Man, I didn't change it.
Because Tyrone Mings did something very similar on Saturday.
But I would say it's all about how you interpret it. But to me, it's just I don't think he went with any malice injury.
I don't think so too. But come on, in games like that, when you know they're gonna look at everything,
that's a natural thing. You know, we look at everything. You ever seen anybody meant to shoot the ball before playing a hand?
Of course not.
Exactly, it's a natural thing.
Whatever. I guess we will see how it goes, but
VAR just want to make itself a narrative.
But ultimately, I look back at the 2 Ipswich games. I look back at Crystal Palace at home. There's so many games that I can point to, Andrew, where I'm like, that's where we lost Champions League football. Honestly. And if it wasn't for you being on the beach, I wouldn't even have a show.
It's true, exactly.
So, thanks to Arsenal for being so poor that actually allowed Liverpool to win the title early.
Don't sound Arsenal did the best. Arsenal is the best version of themselves.
Whatever.
Liverpool were just that damn good. You know what I'm saying?
Anyways, so that's it.
All right. So we take a quick break for our sponsors. We should.
Yes, please.
Whole Health Pharmacy, located in Jordan's Complex, Speightstown, St. Peter, carries a variety of products to take care of you and your health. Essential oils, muscle rubs, and the run-of-the-mill medications. And definitely don't forget your vitamins. Vinci Sea Salt, air humidifiers, tumblers, and women's havens pads too. We got it all for you. Don't forget your Barbados and natural Vinci snacks. So for sure you're gonna keep coming back. Ever hear about structured water? Well, tell your son, tell your daughter. Whole Health Pharmacy. More than a pharmacy, we take care of you and your health.
And we're back.
Right.
So
cricket.
quickly.
All right, so the last segment, the cricket segment, before we wrap up here.
I don't know what to say, boy.
It's been a wonderful
Moving
discussion.
from Chelsea to West Indies is like...
Oh my gosh. So West Indies announced some new leadership roles in the test team, the men's test team. We have Roston Chase, former Cormorant, who is now the test captain, and Jamal Workin, also Cormorant, who is now the deputy. My question for you, Marissa, because you are more the cricket expert here. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this appointment?
I know you already answered. Like, honestly,
I just try to put you off. Go ahead, do your thing.
The fact that when Craig resigned, they talk about, test captain will be named in a couple of days and it's been almost a month, tells you all you need to know. They ain't had nobody. They had no candidates. It reminds me of when, was it Lara? Because we always talked about when Lara resigned or left the captaincy. I remember when we were younger, we always had a conversation that, remember, they should have been grooming Sarwan and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We always had a conversation about the lack of succession planning in West Indies cricket. Like, obviously they would have liked Josh De Silva to do it, but like we talked about when we talked about this last, you can't pick a man that just get dropped from the test side. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be a good look. But an even worse look is picking a man that ain't played test cricket in 2 years.
Oh, he hasn't?
No, he hasn't. He hasn't been part of a test squad since 2023 March. I don't know what to say. I have nothing against Roston Chase, but what is Roston Chase's captaincy record? Has he even captained a load? But who else would they have chosen? Would they have taken a punt on somebody like Ali Athenes?
Mm-hmm.
No, because he's still very young in his career. We can't expect the Graeme Smith story to apply across the board to everybody. Andrew, I really don't know what you want me to say. Because if I told you that I have thoughts either way, I'll be lying. I genuinely do not know how to feel about this appointment. Because where does Roston Chase fit in the side now? He started off test cricket like a house on fire. He was really good. Then he fell off a cliff. I like him as a person. I like him as a player. He carries himself really well. He's been written off a lot. I remember he was written off in T20 cricket. He revamped. Like, there's a lot to like about the character. There's a lot to like about the personality and everything. But it just speaks to a wider problem of West Indies cricket about the lack of leadership options. It's the same thing, God forbid, Hayley Matthews had to be out for an extended period. It's the same thing with the women's side. It's like, why are we struggling to find leaders in our cricket teams? That is the bigger question. And that's the question I think we should be focusing on.
Well said. All right, people. So let me give my thoughts now.
Oh, I thought you were get right to end the show because I was like, man.
So let me share my thoughts. Everything you said would have been very valid. Very insightful comments, Marissa. As always. But I look at it from a different angle. Slightly. Mm-hmm. Here's the angle. There was a candidate. There were two outstanding candidates.
Who?
But when they didn't want to pick them. But let me tell you who the outstanding candidates were. I will tell you. Number one, but I know this wasn't gonna happen because it's unless you know that you have a captain in all three formats. Shohut would have been outstanding candidate in terms of who I think.
I have thoughts on
that. In other situations, I think it would have been the obvious candidate, Shohut. But obviously, he's already T20 captain or the A captain. I don't think there's any other nation who has the same captain in all three formats. That doesn't seem to happen anymore. And I didn't necessarily feel as though my only concern or reservation about that, even when the announcement was made that Craig had resigned, was I'm not sure Shohut and necessarily want to load in all three formats. That's a lot of pressure, I believe, a lot,
And he'll have to give up playing a lot of franchise cricket.
Correct. So I didn't think that was likely or feasible. The other option was Azari Joseph, but we know that he disqualified himself with our rant.
That was another problem too. He probably would have gotten it.
Exactly, because the other option would have been him. Because if we talk about succession plan and grooming, he's been a deputy for a very, very long time. Obvious choice might be him.
That's a good point.
And like you said, the same De Silva might have been an option too, but he lost his place. Which I remember I didn't necessarily recognize in the last series that they played. But Joseph and Hope would have been my two options in terms of who I think would have been in the framework. Now again, we talked about Pep earlier, and it's like, yes, Joseph made a mistake. It was not a good look, but should that necessarily disqualify him from necessarily getting an opportunity? You have to have grace, man.
100%, Andrew, but that was literally less than a year ago, and his behavior was unacceptable. It's too fresh.
It's too fresh, right. But that was
6 months from no sure.
Should I disqualify him from future?
Right,
no,
exactly. 6 months from no sure, but
he dropped it, man. Like, remember, you ever saw when Newcastle and they're playing Aston Villa, Kieran Dyer and Lee Boyer, I think that was his name, started fighting the middle pitch, and both of them get sent off.
No.
It wasn't like that. He dropped it.
The man stormed off, and we had 10 men on the pitch because we were scrambling to figure out what happened before we sent off somebody. Come on, Andrew.
Anyway,
come on.
But I'm just saying. You agree with me, Rick? You agree with me that he would have been a valid option?
I do. I think he would have gotten it, actually.
Had that not happened, right? Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Because when they talked about the short list, they didn't even mention him.
And that's what I'm saying.
So that's why I think... That's the thing about Azari. That's why Azari is so frustrating, you know. Azari does have the because I remember Jaden Seals spoke highly of him, like how he mentored him and he's a good leader. Exactly.
He's a leader. You can see that he's a leader. But the thing is, and that again,
can't reward bad behavior, man.
Yeah, reward. Anyway, the thing is, that's why he said it. But he started by saying you had two options, but you didn't want to pick them. I understand the reasons why.
I want to say Shea was a not want to. I don't think Shea
I said that loosely. I mean, in terms of, I know that Shea, it was more Shea decision not to be considered as opposed to not wanting to pick Shea.
I agree.
But he couldn't get wrote with Shea because you already given him two leadership roles. And you can't get wrote with Azari because Azari just disrespects Shea. Right? So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
No, again, my only concern with Roston is like you said, there's... Or you sort of alluded to it. I'm not sure if you... Well, yeah, maybe you did say it. But my only concern with Roston is does he command up selection in our strongest 11?
Exactly.
You know, and that's like you said, that's the only sticky point. Because it might be a case where, again, you find yourself in a situation where you might be able to play a stronger side, but because he's the captain, he has to play, right?
Let me throw another name out there too. This is more of a past name. But you know who we were grooming as well? Hetmeyer. Hetmeyer was our under-19 captain when we won. Mm-hmm. He was Azari's captain. Hetmeyer is a good leader too. But Hetmeyer's mind, we have had conversations about his mentality before. He would have been another candidate as well. But it's like I said, I just think that there's a dearth of leadership. And not to stray or go on my soapbox, but I think even as Caribbean people, we see it in government, we see it in organizations. I just find Caribbean leadership is lacking. It's lacking. So everybody got, rather than hot-headed like Azari, they might not quite fit in the team like Roston.
I prefer passionate. But let me tell you something, right? Let me tell you something. I didn't bring home with this. Mm-hmm. Here's the civil lining,
Bring home.
Here's the civil lining. I'm not sure if you can see parallel or the analogy, but I see the analogy. I saw the moment it was announced. They always say that a team should mirror the coach. And then you say it should never something
I knew you was going to say it because I was thinking it too.
Exactly. You pick a man that can't necessarily, that might not, I can't say can't. That might not, in some instances, justify selection. And that was sometimes the issue with Darren Sammy. A lot of debate, should he be in the starting 11?
That's a good point, too. Yeah. And look, ultimately, I like Darren Sammy as a coach. I like the standards, because let me tell you something. I believe that Darren Sammy has started to change the culture around West Indies cricket.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, if Alzari had that temper tantrum under any other coach, he would not have been dropped from vice captaincy, and he would have probably been in for the test captaincy. But I think Darren Sammy pushes certain standards. Right. And one of his standards is obviously respect for your teammates, respect for your brothers. And I have a lot of respect for Darren Sammy, and I don't want to say trust, because, but Darren Sammy was a decent leader.
Yeah, he was not a decent, he was a very good leader.
Yeah, so
he was a very good leader.
Hopefully Roston will be the same.
Hopefully. Before we go off of this, we got to speak about vice captain as well, Rorican. Your thoughts on him? I don't
know much about him, to be honest. I know he was actually on Morning Barbados recently, I think, talking about West Indies cricket and how he thinks we're going in the right direction. He speaks very well.
Mm-hmm.
He does command. Well, that's another thing too about Jamal Workin.
Mm-hmm.
I find he only plays when we go away to Asian countries as like the second spinner,
Right.
or as the main spinner. Because I find lately we've been doing, and that's gosh, that's another key point about this appointment. Because usually Roston will play as the spinner, and we just pick fast bowlers.
Right.
So now we go find a place for both of them. But generally, though, those selection headaches is above my payroll, whatever. Right. But I find he speaks well, and he's a good bowler. So yeah, it's just my concern is how do we fit those two and balance the team properly. That's my only concern.
Well, you said.
Well, not my only concern. But
That's definitely above my payroll.
it's true.
But what I'll say is this: all the best, Roston. All the best, Jamel, sorry. In your new leadership roles, and we hope that goes well.
For sure. Because we only want the best for West Indies cricket. They're playing tomorrow, Ireland, one-day international. And then the women are also playing England in T20. So yeah, we'll see how the teams go. And we'll be back here in 2 weeks. We got to do our end of season awards, our team of the season, all that jazz, recapping the European finals, and also probably looking back at these series that West Indies women and men would have played. So yeah.
Sound good plan.
Yeah, sound like a plan.
Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us on episode 17 of the Dugout Podcast, season 3. I'm Andrew. This is Marissa. You can follow us our individual handles: Drew9106,
Marissa Simone91.
The Dugout handle, Dugout_podcast, and
Big Up Spirit Life Studios, Whole Health Pharmacy. Follow them as well.
Yes, and please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time.